In this video, we'll talk about how to work with images. Basically, we have three major formats of images. First is GIF. GIF consists of 256 colors. It sounds a lot, but actually in the real world, we may have millions of colors. So look at this image here. So if we use GIF, we didn't get a good image. But GIF can include transparency areas. Look at the image in the middle. The start will have a transparent area. GIF also supports animation. The image on the right, this one can support animation. The signal format is JPEG. If you use a camera to take pictures, pretty much you will use JPEG. It cannot display transparent area, but it includes thousands of colors. So we use display some general images. The third one is called PNG or Portable Network Graphics. It can support millions of colors. It also supports transparency. So it's kind of new format. We suggest to use this format. To insert image, we need to use a new tag. It's called the IMG. It's an empty tag because we close the inside it. It means we don't have two tags. We only have one tag. Then we close inside it here. So let's say example, how to use image. To use this example, first make sure something. Here, your code file in the same folder with your images. Otherwise, you have some problem. So let's start coding. I would like to emphasize again. So when I do the coding, I put the structure first, like HTML, head section, body section, style. In this way, we can avoid some mistake. Okay, let's work with image. First, we put the tag img, put the source src equal to then the name of the image. Here is okay. So first, let's try. What do we get? Right, with IE. Then we get the image. You can see the size actually pretty big. This is the original size of the image. So if we want to control the size, we can use some like width space equal to 400. 400 is pixel, while height equal to 400. Save it, run it. You can say this is 400 by 400, the size. Sometimes when we, like say, we're supposed to put the image and the code in the same folder. How about you forget include this image? What will happen? Let's say our web page. So if we reload, we get something like this. That means even though here in the code we want to display image, but we just forget to include in the same folder. This will be problem when you use the say here, there's nothing. So how we solve this problem? We can use it put the alt space alt equal to the alt actually just like a note means if your image doesn't display, at least we can display some note here, image of desert. So that's the function of the alt. This is a local image. We also can display some online images. Just put some online image the address. You can say this is the image address. We can replace this with the online image address. Let's try it. For example, we go to Mansfield. Mansfield, we can copy some edges of images. It's kind of slow. Okay, for example, like this image. If we use IE, we can use this way. If we use the Firefox, you may use a different way to get the online address of image. Click the right button of the mouse, then click the properties. Here we get the image address, HTTP something. We copy it, Control V. Then we go to the coding. We replace the source. Remember, inside the quotation, this is the online address. Okay, save it and reload the code or run it. This is a 400 by 400. So this is how we can use local image or online image. Remember, we can put a link last class. We can do the same thing with image. It means we use image as a link. When people click the image, just like here, if we click image, we can go to Mansfield. We use the whole image as a link. How to do that? We continue work with this program, this example. However, to make it simple, I prefer to use either one because we just avoid some mistake. So I use the simple one, and you can see the code. Here we have an image. We want to change this image as this image is a desert. Make sure you have the file on the top of the here. I just copy the file. Yeah, otherwise we have problem. Then here we have an image. Let's see what we get. We get the image. To make the image as a link, we put the anchor A and the href equal to this is the address like a Mansfield. Put the HTTP. If you don't put the HTTP, sometimes you may have some problem. And for anchored, we need to close it on the end of the everything. Put the close it. So make it very clear so you don't confuse those brackets. Like this is for head to head for anchor, head to head for image. Again, we need to close the anchor. This is the end of the anchor. Make sure you don't make mistake on here. And save it, see what we get. So we get image. When we move the mouse over the image, you can see the shape of the mouse changed. We click it, we go to Mansfield. So that's how we can use image as a link. Sometimes, like in this situation, you may want to put the image in the center. How can we do that? Remember, we have learned how to put some paragraph in the center. We can do the same thing. So let's try it. Again, to avoid some mistake, I try to make it simple. Means here, I only want to display image. I don't want to use link to make the code look simple. Okay, here we have an image. Let's try first run it. We have an image here. We want to put the image in the center. So what do we do? First, we use the paragraph outside the image. Paragraph and the beginning, and then we need to close the paragraph on the end. Here, paragraph on the beginning and close on the end. So the image in the center. Make sure you didn't make mistake. Then we want to control the paragraph on the center. Remember we learned about the CSS. Paragraph, use text, align, semicolon. Save it, Let's try to run it. So you can say, actually, the image is inside the paragraph, but we control the paragraph to display in the center. So image also display in the center. So that's one way we can display an image. In some case, like here, we have 4 images. We want to put the position on different, like this on left, this on right, this two on the in the center. How can we do that? In this example here, because we control the paragraph, means to say if we put more image here, we need different paragraphs. So here I want to introduce a concept. It's called the ID. Remember we learn ID for interlink. ID means ID, we can assign an ID to different paragraphs. Okay, first let's display 3 images. Like here, we have 3 images. Here we have 3 images. We just do the same thing, just to another, we can copy the coding here and post here. But don't forget to change the name. The name will be KOALA. Okay. Then here we display 2 images. Let's try, say, what do we get. So you can say we get 2 images in the center. How about we want to control this image in the left, but this image on the right? So to do it, we need to do something. It's called the ID. What means ID? Let me show you. So we assign an ID to the first paragraph. We call this paragraph as left, LE. You can give any name. For the second paragraph, we assign ID. Remember, ID must be inside the paragraph. No, must be inside the star tag. ID equal to, here we want to get the right side. Then why we use ID? Because we want to control the paragraphs differently. For first paragraph, because we assign ID, here we need to use the pound side. Here, LE, left. Then here we put the text align left. For the RI, right, pound side, RI, same thing. Text align right. Save it. So let's run the code. Can you say this is left, this is right? So we use ID to distinguish different paragraphs. So this ID, LF, will control this ID, means this paragraph will display, will align left. We assign ID to this paragraph as RI. We control the RI, say this paragraph should align right. So that's ID. Sometimes we have a group of paragraphs. For example, we have multiple paragraphs. Then in that case, we need to use class. Remember, the ID can only be used for one element, but a class can be used for multiple elements. Let's try it. Here, I don't use the image anymore. Let's say we have some paragraphs. Paragraph, we have for like say 1, say 3, close it. And another paragraph. Let's just copy it. We'll make it fast. I want to make a multiple paragraphs here. Let's put the 4 paragraphs. 2, 3, 4. Here we want to control the paragraphs display in different color. Like say for 2, 3, 4, I want the colors blue. For paragraph 1, I want the colors yellow. How we can do that? Here we will use class. Means to say for paragraph 1, we have a class equal to this we want as like yellow, YEL. You can put anything. But for paragraph 2, 3, and 4, we use blue. So the same thing, class equal to blue equal to blue. Here it's A. Okay, save it. And what do we get? Actually, on this time we get nothing because we didn't in the CSS we haven't put the control on the class yet. But make sure that you can say for the same class, the blue, we can include the multiple paragraphs. Remember ID, you can use one ID for one element. But for class, we can use like in one class, we can include multiple paragraphs. So here we want to control for paragraph, it will be started with dot YEL. This is a class, this class. We use dot. If it's ID, we use pound sign. So here we want to control the color yellow. Yellow. Okay. And for another class is blue class dot BLU color blue. Save it. Let's see what do we get. So you can say for 4 paragraphs, first one is yellow because we use class yellow. The other 3 are blue because we use class. So the benefit is class means say we only control for one class, that everything inside this class will be blue. So by use class, we can, like say in this example, we can display, even we have the same paragraphs, but we can control inside the 4 paragraphs. Those 3 in the blue class, this one in the yellow class. So this way we can display paragraphs differently. So that's about this video. The same thing we can, like I said, the class, we use a different name. Also inside the class, we can put the image inside the class. Actually, that's the same thing. So that's about this image.